Hi guys, this is Vinash Sharma, and in this session we will discuss the exit operator in the SQL Server. Exit operator is a logical operator, and the function of the logical operator is to check the value in the table. Means if the value exists in the table or not. If value exists, then it will return true, otherwise false. And if you're using the subquery, then it will check if the data is returning from the subquery. Any data. It means if the zero row is returning, then the value for the exit will be the false, and if the one or more rows returns from the subquery, then the result for the exit would be the true. Generally, the exit operator can be used in correlated subqueries and non-correlated subqueries, but commonly it is used in the correlated subqueries. As you can see in the syntax, it's a very simple syntax exists, then we have to write the subquery. And here important thing is, if the subquery is returning the null, then still the value for the exit operator would be the true. How the exit operator works, we can check with this diagram. The exit operator takes the value true or false. So we have a query, that is the main query, select star from employee, then where clause and exit operator. Then we have this subquery, select salary from employee where salary greater than 5,000. So the result of the subquery could be the zero row, or could be the multiple row, or could be the single row. If it is the zero row, so we have a decision box. If return row is 0, then yes, then it will return the false. The value for the exit operator would be the false, and this query does not execute. And if the subquery returns some data, it means one row or multiple row, then it goes to that direction in no case and return the true. Means the value for the exit operator is the true. So this query executes successfully and display the result. Now we check the exit operator on the SQL Server. So we have a query, that is the employee table, and so we have data in this table: employee ID, employee name, department, salary, city, and join. So we check the exit operator. Now we are using the subquery with where clause. So in this query, where exists, then subquery, this is a subquery, will return the 0. And if I execute this query, then I get the same result, because this select 0. If I just execute this part, then you can see it's returning 0. In message we have one row affected. So if the subquery is returning the 0 row, then it false. Otherwise, one row or multiple row, then it's true. So in case of the true, this query will display the result. Okay, if we try select one, then execute this one, same result, because it's still returning the one row. Then select null. If I type this one, then I get the same result, because select null still returns the one row. If we check the individual this query, so it says one row affected. Okay, so how to check the 0 row in the exit operator? So now we are creating a temporary table, temp table, and with one column, that is the id int. After that we insert one record in this temp table, value 1. In this subquery, select star from employee, where exists select id from temp table. So we check this code now. So we get the result. Reason, we created the table and also inserted one record. Okay, first of all, drop this table. So this table, temp table, is returning one row. Now if I comment this one, the temp table already dropped. Now only the table is created and no data would be there. So it means this select statement will return the 0 row. And now if I execute this one, so no data. In case of the 0 row, the value, the result for the exist operator would be the false, and the main query that is cancelled. No data from the main query. Okay, we try another example. Select. Now we have another query, another example. So this is our main query. Select star from employee table and where exist. In the subquery, we say select empid where salary greater than 6,000. So if I execute this one, then I get the data, because you can see, you can observe in the salary column there are so many values which are greater than the 6,000. Okay, if I make say 10,000, so no difference, the same result. Reason, it doesn't matter how many rows are returning. If the rows, returning rows, are the one or multiple row, then the value for the exist operator is true and it will display the result. If I make say 10,000, 100,000, 1 lakh. If I execute this statement now, no data, because this subquery is returning no execute and in message 0 row. So in case of this 0 row from the subquery, the value for the exist operator would be the false and the main query is cancelled. So this is how you can use the exist operator in the subqueries. Now we check the how to use the exist operator with the if condition. So as you can see, we have the if condition, then exist, and then we have the query. So this query will return the result with the 0 row or single row or multiple row. In case if this returns the 0, then value is true, and in case of the true, this block will execute. In case of false, else part, this will execute. If I execute this one, so this block gets executed because 1001 does not exist in that table. So this is the false case. If I change the EMP ID, say 5, and check the table, then 500105 is there. So if I execute this data now, so this part, EMP ID equal to 1009, this block will execute because now value for the exit operator is the true. Suppose if I use the not, say not exist, what it mean? This will reverse the result of this exist operator. If the value for the exist operator is the true, then it will become the false, and if it is the false, then it will become the true. Right now 1005 is there, so value of this query is true for them, but we have added the not, so the result would be the false. If I execute this now, Now this block, this query has been executed because this is a else part or false case. So this is how you can use the exit operator and not exit operator in the if condition. Now how to use the exit operator in the correlated subquery? Before that, we should check what is the correlated subquery. Correlated subquery depends on the outer query. It refers the data from the outer query or main query in where clause. Then what is the difference between the correlated and non-correlated subquery? In case of the correlated query, you cannot execute individually or independently. But in case of the non-subquery, you can execute those query individually. This is the difference between these two type of query. What is the subquery? Correlated subquery. We can check with this diagram. So in this diagram, we have the main query, that is the select star from EMP, and we have the alias EMP. And where clause, where exists then another query, brackets subquery. But you can observe in where clause, we have the EMP ID from this table and EMP, this is the alias from the outer query and the name of the column EMP ID. So this data is coming from the outer query. It means this subquery is referring the data from the outer query. So that's why it is called the correlated subquery. And this alias EMP, this is called the correlated name. Now, important thing, a correlated subquery executes once for each selected row from the outer query. What it means? It means if there are 10 records in the outer query, then subquery will execute for each and every records. It means if there are 10 records, then correlated subquery will execute 100 times, 10 by 10. Now, how to use the exist operator in the correlated subquery? So we have a query, select a star from employee, then EMP is the alias, and where exist, select a star from employee, salary greater than 6,000. If I execute this, then I get the whole data, whole records. Even the salary, which is less than 6,000, is there. Why? Because this is not the correlated subquery. This query is returning the multiple row, and for the value exist operator is true, then this query is executing and fetching the whole data set. So, but my requirement is I want the result set according to this query. I want the details of those employee whose salary greater than 6,000, not this 3,200. So this can be done with the correlated subquery. So first of all, change the query where clause. So I added EMP ID. EMP ID. This is from the subquery, and this EMP. This is the alias from the main query, and this column is the main query. It means this column is referring from the outer query on main query. Now this becomes the correlated subquery. If I execute this one, then I get the data salary greater than 6,000. If I change say 7,000, then I get only 4 records, all greater than 7,000. So this is how you can use the exist operator in the correlated subquery. How the correlated subquery works, we can check with this diagram. So step 1, and we have the condition where clause EMP ID, and EMP is a alias from the outer table, and then salary greater than. So it will pick the first record, say EMP ID, and will match with the according to the query from the whole table. Suppose there are 10 records, then it will scan the 10 records. First record 101, it matches, but 3000 not matches, so this is false. So this record will not be included in the result sets. Then it will scan the second record 102, not included, 1003 not matched with MPID, not included, and finally 1010. So it will scan whole table, but no record found for matching record. Step 2, Subquery will pick the 102 second. Then again scan the whole data in the outer query. This time 10 is matching, but still the salary less than 5000. So not matching. So no record found for matching this query. Then step 3. Now salary greater than 5000 and record is 103. First record not included, second record not included, but third record 103 match with the MPID and salary 6000, it's greater than 5000. So this record is included in the result set. Again, step 4 means next record 104, scanning the whole table from first record to last record. First record not included, second not included, and third one not included. Salary is greater than 5000, but EMPID not match. This record 104 EMPID match and salary greater than 5000. So this record is matching. So this again is in step 4. So this record will be included in the result sets. And the same way, when the step 5, 105, the whole table and this record will be included. And the same way, step 6, then step 7, then step 8, step 9, and step 10. So this way, subquery will execute 100 times. So guys, this was all about the exist operator, logical operator in the SQL Server. Thanks for watching the video.